twice now the Celtics have been first to the floor. They try to save with Horford. Unbelievable.
Boston first to the floor. So good.
Brown fakes, fires up the three. Bang! Tatum dives on the floor. Everybody dives. Jaylen Brown with the flush. Blocked by Porzingis. He's doing it all. Tatum spinning, driving, layup. Washington drives. Blocked by White. Oh, what a block from Derek White.
Welcome in, First of the Floor podcast. Ben Vallis here, along with Jake Eisenberg. And Jake, the Giannis trade, it's finally happened. It was kind of an excruciating wait, but now all the details are out. We're going to talk all about it, but also we might be in this weird limbo period with Jaylen Brown as well. So Jake, lots to get to. Where's your head at right now?
Hasn't been the best day for me, I would say. Pretty well documented. I was in on Giannis, and I had just envisioned him on the team at this point, and it sounds like it was really, really close. And then to top the day off, I had my Division 3 Rec League semifinal, in which we lost by 1 point after being up by 6 points with about 2 minutes to go. So I'm still wearing the Alley Oopsies jersey underneath here as I got home before this podcast, playing through a pretty bad sprained ankle from the previous week. Which is exactly what you want to do when you're 32 and getting paid $0 to play basketball. I'm odd one, pretty Celtics-like, which is correct. But let's just start saying Spurs-like, because let's make them the new poster boys of blowing big leads, because that's who is the most recent and most embarrassing of those people. But yeah, man,
so sorry to hear that.
But yeah, the last week has been and the last day has been excruciating with like the reports. I tapped out about a week ago. It's too much. I couldn't do it. And I'm proud of myself for tapping out. I was like, but that's not to say every buzz I got was like, oh my God, is that it? But I gave up trying to follow everything. Is too much. And now it's back to fuck Miami, hey?
Yeah, I guess so. Fuck Miami, and we'll get to I don't know, how worried are we about the current Miami roster? They defensively seem very sound, but I think in terms of defending them, you can definitely sag off the majority of their current starting players. But we'll get to that. And I'm sure they've hopefully for their sake, got some moves to make. But yeah, man, this has been a brutal couple of weeks from the fan perspective, and the not knowing and the nuance and complication of being excited for a potential Giannis acquisition while kind of dreading the breakup of the Jays. Mm-hmm. And whether or not that still is on the cards, we don't know. But ever since the Durant rumors from back in the day, I guess I don't know, 12 years ago now, or 10 years ago, I remember lying awake. I wake up. I can't even really fall into a deep sleep at the best of times, and wake up constantly. Did the trade happen? Did the trade happen? Scrolling through Twitter, scrolling through the First of the Floor Discord, and in the past 2 weeks, it's been my rhythm. So, and I don't even know if I'll get sleep tonight because I'm kind of worried about what's going on with Jaylen. So, anyway, the trade.
Poor man.
This is why we do the pod, right? Because it's a tight knit sort of anxiety that we throw at our Celtics fandom at times, and this is a great outlet. And shout out to everyone in the chat.
Of course.
Someone's C-Game is telling me I'm a bit quiet. I'll try and fix that next time Jake's talking. But the trade, the Bucks trade franchise icon, according to Shams, Giannis Antetokounmpo and Bobby Portis to the Miami Heat for Tyler Hero, Khalil Ware, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Kasparas Yakashunas. Did I get that?
I'm so glad we didn't draft him, because I would be struggling still with his name.
3 first-round picks, including number 13, 1 pick swap, and 1 second-rounder. And I got the details on the picks here. Unprotected first-rounders in 2031 and 2033, along with number 13 pick, a pick swap in 2030, and a 2033 second-rounder. That's the package. So I guess where I want to start asking you is, if you're the Bucks and you're the Bucks fans, and you expecting a motherload back from Giannis, particularly when on the other side of that coin it's Jaylen Brown and probably multiple picks and maybe Hugo Gonzalez, and you get this Heat package instead. Is that the preferred package in the end? It's pretty hefty.
I don't think either of the packages were going to make Bucks fans very excited. The Bucks as an organization mismanaged the Giannis situation when last offseason they decided to waive and stretch Damian Lillard and sign Miles Turner to a huge contract instead of creating the bidding war then. You have 2 years of Giannis, you would have created a bidding war. Instead, you end up in a situation that everyone saw coming where Giannis is going to be able to dictate where he goes. He was willing to sign an extension with 2 teams, Boston and Miami. And I think that the Boston package was more valuable. It's been reported mostly by Shams now that the package that what Milwaukee would have accepted, and we're never going to know if that's actually true and if Milwaukee would have said yes, but Jaylen, Ugo, Baylor, 2 firsts and a swap. And like I would have definitely done the Jaylen and 2 firsts trade.
Yeah, and 1 young guy.
And when do you walk away from the table? I would have a really hard time walking away at any point, basically. But that's because I have horrendous impulse control. And I would blink in some of these scenarios.
Yeah.
I've made some terrible fantasy football trades where I keep up in the price. I've got to have it.
Even just like in an auction, if you've ever bid on anything at an auction, you need to like have the conversation first. What's our limit? And then go in. And the hardest part when you're like right there is to back away when like you could just put in a little bit more and potentially get what you're bidding for. And I think as fans of this franchise, it's good to know we've got a front office that knows when enough is enough. And I think that's probably one thing to infer from this is like the ask just got too much. It exceeded their pre-agreed limit and they knew when to get up and walk away from the table. So I think that's one that we have our front office, at least. We certainly wouldn't, Jake, as you said, had the restraint to not cough up too much for Giannis, who's obviously an all-time player, multi-time MVP, champion, adds an incredible dynamicism to your offense, but not without risk. Is at the sort of back end of his career-ish, has, some recent injury history. There are risks involved, and therefore that limits the amount that a smart front office are willing to give up. If we'd made the trade, of course, I'm championing all the good things about Giannis, so it is what it is. But ultimately, I think these are the elements as to why it didn't happen for the Celtics.
Yeah, they made a line. You have to draw a line somewhere, I guess. I get the thing for me is if you're Brad and you're going to go into this and you're going to get into it this deep, you know that the Jaylen Brown being included in the trade is going to get out.
Yeah.
You kind of have to be willing to go all in. Because now, as Odd1 in the chat notes, you have to do that trade. Now Jalen's going to leave anyway, and we're left with Derek second option hoops. Derek White, second option hoops, which, might be a problem. It's like if you're willing to do Jaylen and 2 firsts, like, we got to be honest. Like, what do we expect Ugo to be? I know John Corrales says that the floor is Derek White. I disagree. I love Ugo. I love the potential. Yeah. Baylor proved that he could be a legit rotation guy. But are we being serious? Like, we lose to those 2 guys and we have Walsh and we have Ron Harper Jr. We still have Hauser. You've got depth there. And now, what is the Jaylen situation? So, like, I think I would have pulled the trigger still on that trade. And you roll with Jason, Cater, Derek, Pritchard, Hauser, Walsh, Ron Harper Jr., Garza as your 8. Probably forgetting someone. But that's your 8 guys. And then you find some more second rounders. You got pick 40 in this draft. You got Amari. You still have the MLE.
I think at some point what the Bucks were asking, it has to again cross that threshold of like even with what we're left holding, which is a potentially fractured relationship with Jaylen Brown. They obviously made the call that being left in this now current situation was going to be less problematic than the outcome of making the trade and giving up all of those pieces and all of those assets. And I think it was Greeny, but on Twitter today, it was kind of like if you're like Mike Zarin and Brad Stevens, you've discussed all the contingencies, you've discussed all the possible outcomes, and you have a plan for each possible outcome. And so I don't think I would like to think, and until we get even if it's a 5-year look back on like, no, Brad and Zarin like clearly fucked up here and they made the wrong move, until there's proof to any of that, my default setting is always going to be that Brad and Zarin are always making the best possible decision at the best possible time. And difficult corner to maybe now back themselves out of or fight the way out of. But I have to believe at this point, with the history of our front office, that they made the right call under the circumstances. And maybe they believe they can repair the relationship with Jaylen Brown. Maybe there's another trade that's about to happen like literally any second because the draft is so close.
If they're going to do that, that'd be
the thing that fucks with me is that like right now in the current player trade market, Giannis was the only possible player, as far as I can tell, that you would get back in a Jaylen Brown trade where the incoming player is better than Jaylen Brown. So like, look at the Trey Murphy example. That's great for like salary and roster diversity, but you're losing out on the sort of player talent rankings of that exchange. And I don't think that there's another trade that's going to be available to us where Jaylen Brown goes out and we get a better player in exchange. That ship is sailed, and I think that's what's going to linger with me for a while.
Yeah. I think that was the one trade that stood out as like, you make this trade, you're now going to be in the inner circle of contenders. The Trey Murphy trade is like the retooling path. But it's a really good point about the Zarin and Brad thing. They know the relationship with Jaylen better than anyone else. Jaylen was included in the 2022, after the 2022 season, for the Kevin Durant trade. That came out, and we've had no issues. This is different. That was like felt as if that never really came out as black and white as this has come out.
Yeah.
This is the trade. Everyone's waiting for it. The Brooklyn trade, like there was no Kevin Durant trade in that moment, I think. And it kind of got swept under the rug. And so now Brad and, I like that. Brad and Zarin, they know it better than anyone. They've got a proven track record here, obviously, of being an elite front office. And we're not going to have the answer to this question for a few years now. But it is hard to reconcile. And like the reporting came out that Jaylen Brown looks at this as like a chance to turn a new page in his career. Mm-hmm. Maybe he still feels like that. He probably does. But no, I can also envision like opening night against the Knicks. Celtics come out, play good. Hugo Gonzalez on Cat.
Yeah.
Slows him down.
Winning heals all.
Celtics win. And it's like, that's why you don't include Hugo Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Or we fucking lose and it's like, oh boy, window shut tight.
Yeah. I mean, schedule makers, they have to do Celtics, Knicks, like the opening. Sorry, not Celtics, Knicks, Celtics Heat, I think now with everything that's just gone down. Ooh. Surely you've got to pair up those two teams. If not like opening night, like the opening game fixture for those two teams. But, and that could be potentially nightmarish. But I don't know, like, I'm definitely doing mental gymnastics here, but is JB just like such a vet at this point and such a Celtics vet specifically that like you can just be like, dude, fucking Giannis became available. We had to do it. You would have done the same thing and you just move on? Probably not. But I don't know. Please interrupt me before I keep saying stupid shit.
I like that. So let's hit on that. Let's do prize picks.
Great call.
And then talk about more of the Jaylen mentality going forward. Prize picks, probably preferred partner of the NBA. The regular season's wrapped up. It's all about the World Cup, baby. It was a pretty tough loss for the Australians against the USA. One of the more embarrassing first halves of soccer I've seen them play. Actually, not true. They've been horrendous in many more halves than that. But after playing so well against Turkey, and maybe that says more about Turkey in hindsight, considering how they looked against Paraguay. But Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, a preferred partner of the NBA. And, people are going to come at me for the USA thing. I got bad news. I have a US passport. That's my second team. So, as far as
It's not
I'm
too late to
concerned,
defect, Jake.
as far as I'm concerned, I'm undefeated in the World Cup right now.
That's fair. That's a unique position you're in.
It is indeed.
Shout out PrizePicks. We don't we're both currently outside of the US, so we don't have the ability to screen share the app and do our picks for any of the upcoming fixtures. Would you go less or more on 0.5 Jaylen Brown trades in the next week?
I would go less. Okay. I don't think there's urgency now to get this done necessarily. Sure. Granted, obviously, teams moving picks around would prefer to pick the guys they like. But how urgent is it really to get the right guy at pick 27? If you're a team trading with the Celtics, do you want the Celtics to draft the guy because you trust the Celtics scouting department more than you trust your own scouting department? Very possible. So I don't think there's a ton of urgency, but okay, Jaylen, you kind of mentioned he's kind of happy to come back situation. Jaylen Brown knows as much as anybody in the NBA, like this is a business. He's been in trade rumors since the second he was drafted, basically. Whatever team he goes to in a trade, he is going to be a trade asset there as well. There is like 3 guys in the NBA: Wemby, Jokic, Shea, Tatum. Fucking Luka got traded.
Yeah.
Like, no one is safe in the NBA aside from the elite. And he knows that. So, like, whatever team he goes to, whether it's the Pelicans, whether it was the Bucks, he was a candidate to be traded no matter where he goes. So, he knows that. Is he willing to kind of put that aside? Can Joe Mazzulla get in his ear and be like, even your own front office doesn't believe in you?
Yeah. That's an interesting point.
Jaylen Brown with a chip on his shoulder tends to be a pretty good player. I think it's a realistic outcome. I don't know how realistic it is, but it is a percentage chance that he's just like, this is the NBA, man. The Celtics have paid me $400 million. We won a title. I'm a finals MVP. They haven't exactly treated him like shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, like you said earlier, this is the first time like he was confirmed offered in a trade package. So that's a new wrinkle that he's not had to deal with before. I also think within the sort of typical construct of an NBA team, the player that's perpetually in trade rumors is like the 1B or whatever you want to like label Jaylen Brown's like position in the hierarchy as, that sort of like second best player. They're sort of more frequently in trade talks than the best player. So part of his appetite, as well as just like the general usage and fanfare and whatever it might be of being the best player in another franchise, is that he might step out of that space for a little while. But I mean, there's going to be work to be done. And I think what we were kind of touching on before is like potentially some of that work has already been done. Potentially some of that sort of ego massaging, whatever is required as far as like having the most delicate and appropriate approach with JB at the moment. I would imagine some of that has already been done. But then there's the other world where he's just like, nah, man, like I thought this was going to be it. And now I really need you to find it somewhere else. And that really puts us in a tough position, because if that gets out, we're looking at diminished trade value. We're looking at some urgency to get it done, potentially as soon as prior to the draft, because in, what is often a tornado of moving pieces in the NBA, draft day, that's a big fucking piece to have out there. And it's going to be involved in a lot of conversations. And then in that scenario, you've got Jaylen Brown popping up reportedly, potentially in more conversations across many franchises, and it just spirals from there. So there's a lot of unknowns at this point, but I think what we can agree on is it's a less than ideal situation with Jaylen Brown, but also that Brad and Zarin have probably done the best out of this situation in terms of positioning us for the future going forward.
Yeah. And look, I don't think there's too much urgency. I think, and I think I came into this being like, the Celtics are in a great position. You either get Giannis or you keep Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum together, which has been a pretty good recipe in the NBA.
Yeah,
Jalen's under contract for 3 more seasons, so like he can. That's the thing. I just don't think Jaylen Brown is going to be a guy that when the season kind of rolls around, like, is he going to not play hard, not play the right way, like let his teammates down? I don't think that's the type of guy that he is.
Yep.
He might be pissed about it, but I do think that there is a siloed kind of thing between the players, Joe, and the front office situation. These guys are human, though, at the end of the day. And is Jaylen like side-eyeing Tatum is like, hey, man, why are you never in these fucking trade rumors? I'm just as good as you are, which I disagree with. And clearly the front office disagrees with, and clearly the rest of the NBA, I think, disagrees with. But, Sam LaFrance, welcome in. Good morning to everybody on the East Coast of the United States. It was not a dream. Giannis Antetokounmpo has gone to the Miami Heat, which is pretty disgusting to think about. But, yeah, I think if you had to bet right now, do you think Jaylen Brown is on the Celtics next season?
If I had to bet
your life, gun to your head.
Yeah, I think in just the desperation of having to come up with a response, I would bet that he isn't. But I wouldn't be completely surprised, especially like time heals all wounds, and this is as early in the offseason as it essentially could possibly be. There's a lot of time now between today and training camp, but it really, the more I think about it, like it could be the straw that breaks the camel's back, and whatever, you can question the legitimacy of all of the trade talks he's been in prior to this instance, but like this is a pretty big one, and with all the history there, I think it'd be a pretty tough one for him to come back from mentally. That said, he's a 10-year vet. Like, winning is going to be the priority, and if there's not a better, more likely to win situation out there for him to go out to, then I think that's where he might be able to just kind of like figure it out mentally, come back motivated for another season with the Celtics. So
yeah,
pretty sure that's kind of a non-answer.
It was a classic non-answer. But if you're Jaylen, the Pelicans trade is what has been thrown around. Like, hey man, we have this other trade. You want to go to New Orleans, or would you like to stay here? I wouldn't want to go to New Orleans.
No, fuck no.
Fuck that. Like, chances are he's going to go to a significantly worse situation. It just depends. Is it like, hey, I want to have my own team. I don't care about the winning thing. I've sacrificed enough at this point. I just want to get my 30. I want to try and win first team All NBA and show I can be an MVP. I hope someone in his camp is like, that's not realistic, but clearly that person is not in his camp. I think I'm higher on the run it back version of the Celtics than most people, is what I've learned from today. Because I've seen a lot of people be like, all right, the Celtics are toast, they're done, their windows closed, they're closer to a rebuilding team than they are to a contending team. Maybe I'm underrating Jaylen's ability to recover from this.
Yeah.
But like, let's say he does, how realistic is that? I don't know. But like, Jaylen and Jason come back. The big one being Tatum's an off-season removed from the Achilles injury. And so in theory, you get a fully healthy Jason Tatum, even better than what we saw at the back end of the season, which was already an All-NBA player and higher from there. You get him, you sign the big man, MLE, you draft someone with the 27th pick, and Joe Mazzulla levels up as a coach. Like, they won 56 games without Jason Tatum. Mm-hmm. There's no reason to believe they can't be in that high 50s, low 60s range and be right back in it. The only factor to me is the chemistry piece with Jaylen. And if that's completely too far gone, then sayonara. But I'd rather keep Jaylen Brown than do some of this other shit.
Well, yeah, it goes back to what we were saying. Like, Jaylen Brown is now the best player available in whatever version of the Celtics we'll see, unless like someone else shakes loose miraculously, but it's not going to happen. Aside from Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown is the best player available to have on the roster. At what point, given like the climate with the second apron and whatnot, like do you start to sell yourself on like the roster diversity approach is better? So like, going back to that Trey Murphy package, for example, obviously you lose an incredible talent, an incredible Celtic in Jaylen Brown, hypothetically, but you get much more diversity and depth really up and down the roster. And to some degree, that's kind of what like the Knicks have, for example, under Jalen Brunson, is like lesser talented players than Jaylen Brown, but more talent overall stretched out across like the rotational parts of the roster. At what point, I guess going into the draft tomorrow, like are you beginning to are the wheels turning in your mind to try and sell yourself on that approach at all?
Mate, I will be right back on the Celtics can kick anyone's ass very, very quickly. As anyone knows, I'm a flip-flopper. I'll change my mind 3 times between now and tomorrow, probably another time before this podcast ends. We're vibesmen, if nothing else.
That's true.
On this podcast. Like I drew in the chat, Jake, what's the definition of insanity? Well, they won the title.
Yeah.
Now, Al Horford, is he walking through that door? Probably not. Is there a pathway to acquiring a Drew Holiday? I don't see that right now. However, we have talked about as not next season, the following season as being the year of real contention, and the most recent season and next season as the reconfiguring of the roster to put you in position to make another big trade, or to make another big trade to push yourself back into that title contention window. Again, this is contingent on Jaylen Brown forgiving everybody. And on the Jaylen Brown part, how willing is he to because the best version of Jaylen Brown was the 2024 Jaylen Brown. And that was like the peak sacrifice team, right? Everybody was willing to do it. Horford was willing to come off the bench when KP was there. Jaylen had low usage. We were talking about it in the Discord before we hopped on here, and Steven has reemerged after his hiatus. So welcome back to him.
Time to come back.
Tice and Z Gamer and myself are going back and forth. It's like, can we just get a little bit less Jaylen Brown? Because Jaylen Brown did turn back into the worst version of himself in the back half of the Sixers series. Just can we get the usage down below 27%? Can we make the right reads? And, history kind of says Jaylen Brown, chip on his shoulder after shit goes really bad, tends to level up or prove the doubters wrong, as he did for most of the regular season. Who's this? Agent Paul 22, you smoking too much, your neck is a mess. I will say on Saturday night, this whole weekend, Dark Mofo is this like festival in Tasmania. I went to a party from 10 p.m., got home at 5 a.m. And that's why I sound. That's why, and I didn't sleep till 10 a.m. So that's why my voice sounds like this. Everybody, apologies for that one. But
who doesn't love a drunk cig every now and then? Don't judge. I might need a drunk cig after the last 7 days of this whole Giannis trade situation. Is there a period of time that you need to see the report coming out about the rekindled relationship with Jaylen Brown for you to feel at ease again? Are you expecting that soon? And if that happens, does it signify a sort of a recommitment between JB and the Celtics? Or are you expecting crickets for weeks until the Celtics and JB kind of figure out what's next?
I mean, if I'm Jaylen, right, I would like to make the Celtics sweat now at a minimum.
Yeah, I think so.
There was the Himmelsbach report. And again, there was so much shit flying around today, and I just kind of opted out from a lot of it. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I saw there's a no hard feelings thing from Himmelsbach, which was obviously counted. I think Shams said there's some work to be done with that relationship. I think both can. The middle is probably true to a degree. Cousin Jack, I think it says you can't give the extension. That would probably be the worst thing they could do. But
Yeah, I think so.
that would, but
It's up your sleeve.
that would certainly make Jaylen Brown feel better.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Well, I mean, we'll see. I think regardless, after the draft later today, USA time, where we're gonna know more. I think there's gonna be some data points to collect throughout the draft, whether it's just reports and more rumors about where sort of the appetite for the Jaylen Brown conversation, if at all, has shifted. Which unfortunately for folks like us means more constant glancing at Twitter, more anxiety, more trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. But fortunately for everyone, it means more pods because we're going to keep talking about it. We're going to keep documenting this whole situation because it is seismic. It felt like it really, because I was like positive that it was going to happen, that we were going to make the trade and acquire Giannis because all the noise and all the everything circulating.
It was like minus 240 at one point for the Celtics. And I'm so mad Australian betting markets weren't offering it because I would have cashed in again on the emotional hedge.
Absolutely.
And because it was pretty tangent, but Chris Haynes, he also came out and was like, hey, it's happening. And everybody was like, he's friends with Giannis's wife or some fucking weird connection. And these betting sites like Kalshi that are just like scourges on the earth, prediction markets, swung significantly to the Celtics.
Yep.
If I'm Chris Haynes, I'm taking advantage of that. There's no regulations around any of these things.
Yeah, good point. Very good point. What the fuck? Yeah.
What the fuck?
Sam in the chat. Absolutely. I thought I had something I was going to say. Oh, just grappling with the last few days about the end of the Jays era, and we're not out of the woods there yet.
That's the worst part about this, I think, is it like you go, sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I said this a week ago in the Discord, but like, reminder everyone, the worst case scenario is that like the Jays remain intact. And yes, like maybe one of our Jay brothers needs to be reinvigorated in terms of his love for the Celtics. We've got some work to do there, but worst case scenario, we're left holding both Jays, which I think is pretty fucking good, but there's work to be done.
Yeah, like I watched a TikTok edit of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum with sad music, and I almost cried. And I was like, they're both still on the Boston Celtics. I still love them both, and the Jays are here. How do you? I just don't know, Jaylen. I know I've been talking about wanting to trade you for the last 2 months, not 2 months, however long it's been. But I still love you. It was Giannis.
I know that's the thing. It's less about wanting to trade Jaylen Brown. It's more about wanting to acquire Giannis. Yes. And I'm today, I'm having a beer here, and I'm sort of getting rid of my thoughts. I'm trying to let go of the fantasy of the Giannis Tatum combination because I was really letting myself get carried away with that one. But it was never about wanting to trade Jaylen Brown. It's always about wanting to acquire Giannis. But nevertheless, I think we've kind of covered everything. I think we'll just have to sit with this sort of relative unease for a little while as far as what's going to happen next. I think maybe if you want to talk about the Heat very quickly, like what are they like? Where are they at now? If you're like in your mind power ranking the East, because they don't seem that like compellingly talented, and there's a lot of crowding going on in the paint and incredible defensive team. But I guess that like I said, they've got some moves to do, but they don't seem all that compelling as it stands. So,
I want the Heat Celtics series now. Bring back the rivalry. As you said, opening night. I wouldn't be stunned if the Heat are the 7th seed again. And give me the 2-7 Celtics Heat. Run it back. So, as we know, the odds mean very little, especially to the Boston Celtics, because that's how I've made a retirement fund on betting against them in the last 5 years of playoff situations. They are still, do you want to guess the order of title favorites right now?
In the NBA?
In the NBA.
Knicks repeat?
No.
Surely. Really?
No.
OKC? Bounce back?
OKC are first.
Okay. San Antonio?
Are second.
Okay, Knicks.
Your Boston Celtics.
What? How? I'm sorry. That can't be true.
I thought that was somewhat building in the Giannis stuff. Yeah. Evidently not. The Celtics always are so high in the betting odds and I don't really know what to make of it at this point, considering how badly it's gone so many times. That being said, they've also been in the finals, conference finals, NBA finals, lots. So like in 2022, the one time they were not heavy favorites, they were 50-1. And that's how I built my emotional hedge nest egg to make the finals. The Knicks are fourth in odds at plus 750. The Celtics are plus 600. And the Heat are next at plus 2,000, which I'm pretty sure is just a simple, like, we can't make it too low because everyone's going to want to bet on this now.
Yeah.
Why are the Knicks ranked against the Celtics? I have no fucking idea, C-Gamer. It is absurd. I think right now, like, the Knicks, again, are incredible value. Like, the Knicks are plus 270. The Celtics are plus 220 to win the East.
Yeah, I mean, like they were, I think my first pick a moment ago, like I would definitely have them as the highest chance. I mean, basically the East at this point in time has not improved all that dramatically. And, you know, they pretty well cruised through the East in this season past. And ideally the Celtics are going to be a lot better heading into this next season, but I would still put the Knicks above them. Yeah, I think that's not easy money, not definite money on the Knicks, but that's a good bet to put up for sure.
I'm probably coping to a degree on the Heat here. Like, at the end of the day, if Giannis plays 65 to 70 games, they're probably a top 4 seed. Like, he's just that good. I know. Yeah.
Compared to what the Celtics would have looked like if he arrived on our shores, like instant contender. You know, it's a huge chasm of difference between what this current Heat team looks like and what the hypothetical Giannis Celtics team would.
Yeah, you're playing with Jason fucking Tatum, and now your second best player is Bam Adebayo.
Yeah,
and it almost doesn't matter after that. And even then, the Celtics had the better supporting cast. Even if you had given up Bale and Ugo, which maybe brings us all the way back to maybe Brad should have just pulled the trigger anyway.
Yeah. I'm just putting Rivens in timeout. No, I'll leave him there. I was about to ban
Rivens in timeout.
Piss me off. All right.
We're emotional right now. Should we talk about the draft quickly? Like,
sure. What do you got?
Just more like, well, tomorrow we're doing a stream with How About Them Celtics boys.
Yeah.
Sam and Jack. And then Spoony will be on early. I'm going to be hopping on hopefully towards our pick when I finish work. I just saw cousin Jack in the chat get me that 4th pick. Good luck with that. Sure. I'm in.
I don't think it's happening, but we may trade up. There were reports a couple of weeks ago of the Celtics potentially looking to.
Everyone wants to trade up. What are we trading up with?
We always trade back. Let's finally trade up.
Trading up's so expensive. Like, what's the thing we're using to trade up with? Like the 40th pick? How is that getting us up like one spot? I don't know. How high does? Well, the 5th pick and the Clippers was definitely talked about. Yeah, Braden Burries. I know people are interested. I'm all for it. But if I'm assuming we just draft someone the 27th overall, and I hope it's a big man. You know what? I hope it's someone that's good, man. I hope it's a good player.
Ideally, it's a good player. I think ideally it's a big man as well. Because we've passed on some intriguing bigs in the past as well. And I just think we've demonstrated ourselves, the Royal We, the Celtics, as like a great player development culture. Like let's run that through a talented young big. It's finally time.
Yeah, especially
who? Sorry,
Amari
Williams, who's grown to 7'2". Apparently,
that's not real.
Why not?
That's not real.
He's British. He's eating like bangers and mash all the time, just like protein, carb, like all the time. That's the growth diet.
Shout out whoever put that out, because I would bet my life that's a lie. He grew 3 inches. But like, do we really care that we passed on Kalkbrenner? Do we really care that we passed on Filipowski? Well, whoever it is, the big that you draft, a little bit. Like, what was Kalkbrenner doing for us in the fucking first round?
It's just more about I'm intrigued by running these players through our system, because clearly we've made I don't know, mountains out of molehills. Like we've made diamonds.
If you're gonna do it, make sure it's a big man with the tools, which is what they did with Amari Williams. Because it's like, what's the ceiling of a Kalkbrenner? Even if you completely fucking nail the development, it's a good backup big man. Probably the ceiling is Luke Cornett, who's great, but he couldn't play in the finals. And so the ceiling of Amari Williams is a starting big man in the NBA. Does he get there? Probably not. But
Mhm.
I'm sorry for saying that out loud because I know there's some Amari Williams truthers in the chat. Nick NBA, I'm sorry if you're listening. I hope it's a big man that can jump high and has long arms. That'd be my number one choice. But as you can tell, not a draft guy, which is why we're doing a crossover with people that do know draft. Spoonie knows draft. Sam knows draft. Jack knows draft. I'm sure Nick will be
Nick
there
NBA.
as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
These guys know draft. And I can just be like, they're going to tell me like 3 guys every 5 picks. And then as they go, I'm going to be in love and I'll be brokenhearted, then in love again, brokenhearted. It's going to be great.
That's one reason I'm thankful for all this Giannis noise over the past couple of weeks is we haven't really needed to do any pre-draft shows.
You and me are stoked.
Oh yeah, I hate digging through like hundreds of hypotheticals only for us to trade back and draft maybe one of them if we're lucky. Like, and then you jump in and do the deep dive once they're drafted. So I'm looking forward to doing that. And thanks to Giannis and the Heat for creating a massive distraction over the past couple of weeks. I think we can leave it there. But like you said, later today, USA time, we're going to be live again for the NBA draft. But it's a multi-stream this time. So we're streaming simultaneously on the First of the Four YouTube channel and the How About Them Celtics YouTube channel as well. And Wayne Spoonie, Jake Eisenberg, Nick NBA, Sam LaFrance, and I think Jack Simone all going to be involved in that one. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We'll get some post-draft reactions up on the Patreon as well. Maybe a little bit of extra stuff on the YouTube channel. Jake, any parting thoughts? Any closing remarks before we wrap this one up?
Go C's, baby.
Go C's. Tough couple of weeks, but we'll be back. All right, Jake, love your work, man. Until next time, go Celts.